that Yahweh, if it was to be pronounced, was to be pronounced without moving one's lips and without moving one's tongue. How would we do that? Well, listen to this. You hear the sound Yah as you come in and Weh as you go out. Hey guys, Javier here with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply, really, where we live the principles of interiorism, and in that living, or from that living, springs what we would call living free. It's not really an application, although in language, which is imperfect anyway, and for most people, especially perhaps people who are watching this channel as newcomers or for the first time, apply will be an apt statement and we'll continue to use it. But really, there's nothing to apply, guys, because it's always flowing through you, living through you, and therefore you are it. There's nothing to do, and that's the beautiful aspect of interiorism and beautiful aspect of this work. There's really no work for you to do. It's really just all done through you. And today's Sunday, and we used to do something on the channel which we called a Sunday service. It was just reminiscent of, many people go to churches and so on and so forth, and that's fine, but we really wanted to give people a place to sort of come and gather and hear the truth behind the literalism that we often hear from the scriptures. And I want to start doing that, but in a less sort of structured format. I do want to start doing sort of a Sunday service, and we can call it sort of a satsang. And it's basically going to just be, for those of us who are working and so on and so forth, a time when we can really come up for air and where we can just be present and where we can know who we really are and therefore set ourselves up for great success and more rest in the coming week. There's a lot to the scriptures that call for us to rest one day a week, and of course this is symbolic. And basically what it means is, Neville Goddard described it very aptly, once we decide exactly what it is that we want, and then we, through the imaginal act, or through autosuggestion, through affirmations, or just through simply getting into state, which is what we teach you on this channel, once you get into the state of that through whatever technique or method, then you rest, and that really is the meaning of the Sabbath. But we want to bring it home in a way that we can sort of symbolically take a day of the week, whatever day that may be for you, to actually rest, to actually do nothing, and to actually just sort of live in and feast on the spiritual. Or even, spiritual is not really an apt word to describe it, although, again, we'll continue to use it, because there is no difference. Remember, this channel teaches non-duality. Interiorism goes home to the root of non-duality, which means there's only one existence. And we're going to take a moment to sort of explore that with you here so that you can see for yourself that there's only one. But again, I want to sort of have Sunday be sort of a day of a satsang. And I choose that word advisedly. You see, the great yogis and mystics and teachers of the East called their gathering satsang. And a satsang is basically where you would sit and you would talk about things that were not mundane, things that were behind the mundane, the topics which really deserve our reflection. So many times we're simply talking about nonsense. In interiorism, we can see it as we're talking about our plans to do things, we're talking about getting things, how to get results in this worldly life, which is of course valid. But when you know the non-dual, when you penetrate to the truly spiritual, what one could call the numinous, the essence of everything, what Marcus Aurelius called cause, when you penetrate to that cause, you realize that everything that is your success, your home, your comfort, your wealth, your prosperity, all flows from that cause. Therefore, these secondary things, it's sort of a waste of time to dwell on them. Why not talk about, why not feel, why not penetrate and go into the very cause of that? That's what we're going to attempt to do in these satsangs. Today, I just want to contemplate on, I want to sort of think on the verse of Scripture. And I believe it was in the Old Testament, where the prophet said, "He shall be at perfect peace, he who fixes his mind upon thee." I want you to just sit with this verse. This is going to be less intellectual, and this is going to be more feeling. He shall be at perfect peace, he who fixes his mind upon thee. This is actually in Isaiah, and I just looked it up here. And a better translation of this in Isaiah from the King James Version says, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee." And who is thee? Who is God? Which is what the verse is referring to here. Well, in Exodus we read when Moses asked, "What shall I tell them your name is? What is the name of this God?" He said, "I am. I am that I am." And many interpretations of Yahweh, by the way, which is the unpronounceable name of God, the ineffable name of God in the Old Testament, for many of the Jews say that we should not even pronounce this name, Yahweh. An interpretation of that is "I am." And by the way, remember Richard Rohr was explaining this. Guys, the ancient Jewish glosses and mystics talked about the fact that Yahweh, if it was to be pronounced without moving one's lips and without moving one's tongue. How would we do that? Well, listen to this. You hear the sound Yah as you come in and Weh as you go out. That is the breath. So the very essence of God that is being pointed to, at least in the Jewish scriptures, is the I am, is the breath, is the very essence. Because the breath stands for and symbolizes spirit. In fact, in Hebrew, ruach, or in Arabic, ruh, it is breath and it is also spirit. So the essence of all of this is the breath. And what I want to do in these satsangs is bring us back to the essence so that we can reflect upon that essence. And we can know from experience, guys, that when we are fixed upon this essence, not only perfect peace, but perfect prosperity, perfect companionship, perfect love, perfect wealth, all flows into our life without us having to lift a finger. As Neville Goddard said, do not lift a finger. Why? Because we're tapped into this. This being. So what do I want to show you guys? What do I want us to explore? Because most of us know this. Most of us have been upon the spiritual path for a long time, especially those of you who are diehard watching the videos of this channel. I want to show you right now, right this second, how you can even go beyond the realm of manifesting, how you can even go beyond the realm of planning to get something. I want to transport you. It's a wrong word, but it's one that I'm using to try to convey this idea. I want to transport you to the treasure that you have right now. Many of you may be anxious. Many of you may have had a crisis happen. Many of you may be turning to this video because you're looking for a way out. And I'm here to tell you there is a way out. But the way out is in. As a good friend of mine, Roald Bohm, said, the way out is through the floor. And I'm going to show you the way out. I want to show you this. I want to demonstrate to you what I can call right now the power of traveling back to your inner self. Simply by inquiry, guys. We're going to make this inquiry, but we're going to do it without logical thought. I just want you to go there in your mind. So when I ask you these questions, I don't want you to think about it, right? I don't want you to try to intellectually deduce the answer, but I want you to go there in your consciousness. So let's say you have some anxiety, guys, or any inner disturbance. In fact, I want you to think about something that worries you. Think about a topic that you've been worrying about lately. Let's say it's about relationships. Let's say you're having arguments with your spouse and you're afraid that that relationship may be in peril. Or let's think about your job. Perhaps things aren't going well and you're afraid of losing your job. You have no other source of income. Or let's think about finances. You're having a hard time paying your bills. In fact, a bill's coming up. You don't know how you're going to pay that. For some of you, you may be worried about current events. Let's say you're worried about the way that the world economy is going, or you're worried about war going on in the world. Let that worry bubble up, and I want you to feel that, guys. And a lot of you are going to feel it here in the chest. You're going to feel it in the neck. Some of you are going to feel it in your stomach. I want you to observe that, guys. So many times what we do, even with spiritual practice, guys, even with getting present, we say, I want to get rid of this fear and I want to get to the other side of it. So I'm going to observe it for the sake of getting to the other side of it. And if you have that thought in the back of your mind that you're doing it to transcend it or get to the other side of it, oftentimes it will increase, guys. What I want you to do this time is I want you to say, welcome. Welcome, fear. Let whatever feelings are come in. In fact, I want you to confess it. Confess it to yourself. We did a video about a year and a half ago about confession, and confession is very prominent, especially in the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church, also in the Catholic Church. And one of the Eastern Orthodox, Russian Orthodox saints, John of Kronstadt, used to have his congregation yell out their sins in the congregation in public. Everyone would do a public confession. Of course, that's all symbolic. What I want you to do, and you can do this verbally, you can do it silently, confess your feeling. I'm afraid. I'm worried and I'm trying to get rid of my worry. Confess it. Label it. I'm nervous. Let it all come up and you can feel it intensifying. In fact, you can intensify it. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job. What's the worst that could happen? That just imagine that, wow, bad things could happen. I could lose my house. Let that nervousness come up and bubble up. Now what I want you to do is completely observe that. Look at it. Now ask yourself this. Is this worry arising within me? Or is it me? You'll see where we're going here. If it's arising within me, then it's separate from me. But is it separate from me? Okay, I'm feeling this feeling in my chest. Let's say it's in your chest. Where am I feeling it? Am I feeling it a mile from me? Is it an inch from me? Can I even count it? Who's feeling it? What you'll realize is there's no separation between you and that feeling. Now, what am I? I am awareness. I am presence. I can be aware of this worry. I don't have to call it worry because it is me, it's just happening. Therefore, there's no transcending it or getting rid of it. And in fact, it's just a sensation. Now, there are other sensations. I can attend to this sensation, but I can also listen to the other sensations in the room, right? I can hear the air conditioning. I can see. So you realize all of these sensations make up me. But what is aware of all of this? Now here's the fun part. I want you to, with your attention, not with your intellectual mind, I want you to fix your attention upon the awareness, the I. Can you be aware of what is aware? Try it. Yes, there are all these sensations, but can you direct your attention to being aware to what is aware? what you're going to realize is that when you do that, you're sort of going within all of this. You're peeling away at the layers of the outer. You're already more calm. Those feelings that were going crazy just a minute ago are already calmer, but you might be feeling them still. I want you to ask yourself, this awareness that is aware, is it affected by those feelings? Is there turmoil in that I am? Don't answer this intellectually. Feel it. Go within and sense it. What you'll realize is this awareness has a quality that cannot be affected. And as you zone in on that, as you do what the great mystics called observe the observer, you'll realize that there are some qualities of this I am. And there's a reason why in Isaiah it said, he will keep at perfect peace he whose mind or gaze is fixed upon thee, upon the true I am, upon the observer. He who observes the observer will be in perfect peace. Why? Doesn't matter what the body's doing, guys. This is deeper than that. I don't care what your life situation is. Fix your mind upon that I am. That I am is peace. His name is peace. In fact, in the Islamic tradition, the Sufi tradition, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has 99 names. And one of those names is As-Salam, the peace. Another one of those names is Al-Latif, the subtle. And as you turn within to that subtlety, you will see that even if the body on the outer is disturbed, you're in perfect peace. And there comes a feeling of perfect intoxication. Better than the best wine, guys. And there's no hangover. There's no side effect. And you can be intoxicated in that at work. And you can work perfectly. You'll work better because you're more present, guys. You don't need marijuana. You don't need hallucinogenics. You don't need mushrooms. I promise you. I'm in complete intoxication right now. And I thought about a topic that's giving me a little bit of anxiety, and I still have a little bit of tightness in the chest. That's playing itself out. But I'm even deeper than that, and I'm focused upon the I am, and I'm in perfect, complete peace and intoxication. And what you'll realize is that those feelings will resolve themselves out and you'll keep observing them, but you're in a deeper place of great intoxication, guys. The Sufis taught about intoxication. In fact, many of the great Sufi poets talked about the sheikh or the teacher as the bartender. And this feeling is wine. And is free. Now, incidentally, as a bonus, you're going to manifest and realize on the outer everything easily with no work, for free. just by realizing this feeling. But it doesn't matter, guys. Whatever happens on the outer, when you're in this feeling that you're in right now, and I want you, as I talk, I just want you to keep your attention upon the observer. What is the observer? Where is it? Direct your attention to that. You're going to be within. Nothing on the outer matters. The sheriff can be dragging you out of your house because your house has been evicted. You've been evicted. And I promise you, if you're observing this observer, who cares? And it's not going to happen. Another phrase from the biblical scriptures. Come and eat and drink. And buy this milk and honey that is without price, for free. Come and eat and drink and enjoy. Without price, without cost. There's no cost. Because it is you. You are it. Without cost. Another of the biblical scriptures says, we're drinking from wells that we did not dig, living in houses that we did not build. It is all yours, freely given. The prodigal son, he goes to Vegas and spends all of his inheritance. But he decides that he's going to do it through his own behavior, guys, through his own actions. And so he goes out and he finds a job feeding pigs. And if you know, in the Jewish or the Islamic tradition, the pigs are the filthiest animals. Feeding pigs would be the lowliest of occupations. He even was driven to eating the feed that they were giving the pigs. Then he thought, my father's servants are better off than me, better off than I. So I can go and ask my father to be a servant. That's when the traveler starts to go towards God. He's still got that religious mindset that I have to be a servant, that I have to work. But he set himself on higher things. So he goes in search of his Lord. But the father on the road sees him coming and runs to him. And he says, put the finest coat upon my son, put the ring upon the finger, and slaughter the fatted calf. He thought he used his inheritance, but there was much more inheritance for him. And of course, the older brother, which is like those of us who have been on this path for a while, say, how is it that these newbies are coming to the path and they're getting everything? I've been with you for years. I never sinned. And the father said, you are always with me. But come and let us celebrate, for he who was lost was found. That's the journey of us all, ladies and gentlemen. The moral of that is, we think we have to do a behavior. We think that we have to practice these spiritual practices, and we do it because we love them, because we feel the intoxication. Of course, what we're doing right now, this satsang, this is not a practice. This is just tapping into what we are. But we do meditation. We could do robotic affirming. We could do dhikr, prayer. But we still do them because we think we have to change. We have to change our behavior. We have to change feelings. We haven't been doing something right because otherwise we would have already gotten what we want. We think it's about getting what we want. When all along, the Father has been there. Consciousness has been there. And it's waiting to welcome you and embrace you. So come back home. Drop the behavior. Trying to go on a diet, trying to work harder to make $1,000,000, trying to save $1,000,000, trying to find that stock, trying to advance in some corporation. You have it now. The Father has given it to you. And once you begin the journey to consciousness, you will realize it. He will run to you so that you do not have to go on the journey. And then once you have found that treasure, the pearl of great price, then the journey in consciousness begins. The journey in God begins. So the biblical scripture also says, I believe it was Paul, in him I live and move and have my being. In this consciousness that this I am that I'm contacting and tapped into now, tapped in, tuned in, and turned on, as Abraham Hicks said, and as Timothy Leary said before her, tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Of course, this is a non-drug high. Once I'm tuned into that, the real fun begins. The real journey begins. We do not become inactive. We do not stop working. In fact, most of us work more. But it's a game. It's joyful work. And we start doing things not for personal gain. Why would we need personal gain if we already have it all? We do things not for personal gain. We do it from love, from joy, from fun. And it is an expression of consciousness that comes out onto the screen of this hologram, onto the screen of this simulation. And we do what we came to do. That's the journey in God. Those of us who are watching this satsang, we've stopped searching. We've stopped that journey to God. We know what it is. We are it. It is. I'm tapped into it right now. Now we just wait. We sit and wait for that inspiration. We sit and wait for that impulse. Then we follow out that impulse. So this resting, this Sabbath, if you will, it's the most productive thing you've done all week. It's the most productive thing you will do all week. Let's just sit in it and with it for a few more moments. In the silence. You can take your attention again. In fact, Joel Goldsmith, the great spiritual teacher, would have his students just say the mantram, I. I. What is I? Be aware of the I. as you go out into this illusion again. Keep that taste of the I with you. Keep plugged in. Remain tuned in. And I promise you, it's just going to be a sweet game. And as an added bonus, you're going to go out and crush it. Go out and crush it this week, guys. Much love and appreciation.